Earlier in May, I was experiencing intermittent light primer strikes with my 19 Stealth Special. These persisted even after swapping out the striker spring with an extra power model. So the night before this 2-gun action challenge match, I returned almost all the fire control components to stock, with the addition of the extra power striker spring to make it work reliably. The pistol now works reliably, but the trigger pull is not something I'm used to. It's about 2 pounds heavier than it was before. This stage only allows for 1 round fired before you have to move on to the next plate rack. This is the worst kind of stage to get used to a new trigger pull on the clock, and it's going to cost me big. I'm going to miss a total of 4 shots and have to make that many extra laps to complete it. Interestingly, I don't miss any shots on the second plate rack. All of my missed shots are on that first one. When I get into position, I am consciously stabilizing my sight picture, taking up the slack, and then pulling through the wall of the trigger. There's an old saying about fear the man with one gun. If you shoot the same guns all the time, you're going to be inherently better for your relative skill level than swapping guns around all the time like I do. For example, if you know your gun's trigger intimately, you don't have to think about how it operates. It's now an unconscious level of competence. Here I'm using what I know about shooting and basic marksmanship principles to make the hits when I make them. But if I degrade that at all because I'm a little bit winded and now it's getting inside my head to make these hits, it can kind of fall apart.
Take that hit.
I ended up 9th in Armor Division and 19th overall on this stage. All those extra laps easily cost me 50 to 60 seconds extra to complete the course. That's a lot of time to come back from, but I can't think about it while I'm shooting the other stages. So this is the barrel roll stage you saw me post before as a standalone video. The shooter has to engage all the targets from prone and do a barrel roll to transition to the next target. The trick to doing well on this stage was staying far enough back from the barrels so that you didn't crowd them, making it easier to roll side to side. It may have actually been faster to roll all the way between the barrels rather than get all the way up and get back down. They weren't that far apart. 3 to 4 rolls may have gotten you there. It would be interesting to do that as an experiment for a time comparison. It's very important to keep your muzzle oriented downrange while you're doing the rolls. One shooter did break the 180 and was DQ'd from the match during this stage. The hits on paper are scored IDPA style. Every hit outside the 0 zone adds time to your score. That went significantly better than the first stage. I'm 2nd in Armored and 4th overall. The stage begins with the shooter slinging their empty rifle. Empty rifles are considered sticks at this event, and it doesn't matter if they break the 180. The shooter has to knock down 1 plate off of each of these Texas Stars, then move to the next barrel. I think you'll see that I figured out how to pull the trigger properly on this Glock from the first stage to this one. Every round fired, I'm gaining significantly more experience in operating this particular trigger, and it gets easier with each round fired. It is ironic that I'm shooting better on moving steel plates that are slightly further away than on a static plate rack that was closer at the start of the match. The stage is different, though, in that you can fire as many rounds as it takes to make the hit before moving on. Well, that made me feel a lot better about my pistol shooting. I'm 2nd in Armored and 3rd overall on this stage. This stage has a mini IPSC at 200 yards. From the center position, the shooter is only allowed one shot. Every miss adds plus 10 seconds to the shooter's time. From the other positions, the shooter can take as many rounds as is needed to make the hit. This is a new upper I recently built. I am experiencing rounds dragging on the feed ramp going into the chamber from the right side of the magazine. I resolved this by polishing the feed ramps with a Dremel and a Kratex bit after the match was over. The Magpul bipod isn't quite tall enough for engaging these upward angles while wearing body armor. I can't get quite low enough behind the gun. You may see me at some point try to adjust the legs out even further, but they are maxed out. The optics package I'm using is the Vortex Spark Solar and Mini Magnifier. As you can see, the red dot and magnifier combo is perfectly serviceable to hit even this tiny target out to 200 yards. The box is right there, so drawing inspiration from the earlier stage, I roll into position. Unfortunately, my round skips right off the edge of the target, making it a lot less cool. From the center position, I only missed twice throughout the course of the stage, giving me a total of plus 20 at the end. On this stage, I'm first armored and first overall. The time I made up on this stage compensated heavily for my poor performance on the first stage. In the end, I'm first out of 14 shooters in Armored Division. Overall, I am second out of 29 shooters. Thank you for watching. Come back again for more match and multi-gun competition content.